TV network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Revenge After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Revenge After Show.
Welcome, everybody. Being is for doing. We're here doing Revenge, Season 2, Episode 18, called Masquerade. What a fun episode. It really was. We didn't get a Masquerade episode last season because, as we learned, we were on trial with Daniel. I'm your host, Phil Svitek, joined alongside by Roxy Striar.
It's a masquerade.
You know what? Funny enough, no one really had their masks on for the duration of the Masquerade ball.
Especially not Emily.
Not anyone.
Not anyone.
Except perhaps the, quote, son. Anyway, really fun episode. We learned that Padma dies. Jack, what?
So fun. Padma dies.
Okay.
Yeah,
Freudian
the
slip, I
best.
guess. I don't know. I didn't want Padma to die, but... All right, well, all right, let's talk about that then. Let's talk about Nolan. You know, I mean, if we weren't hit over the head with this whole 6 weeks...
How many times did they say that? We even know the amount of hours.
986?
Unbelievable. Like, I'm not that dumb of an audience member. You only have to say it once.
Yeah, but I didn't mind it. But we open up with Nolan. What seems to be he's trying to figure out the Falcon. You know, he's... I love his equations on his damn windows and things like that. I thought that was a lot of fun. Then he's trying to get to the bottom of it. Solo is what it comes down to.
He looked like a wreck.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time we've ever seen Nolan to that state.
Yeah, I mean, it just speaks lengths to how incredible Gabriel Mann is, and I just thought he killed it tonight. He looked like a mess in this, and then he has really emotional moments, and we see him have lighter moments, and he really did a great job.
Well, what's tough for Nolan is that, you know, like everybody else, he's tried to keep hope alive, and that does not seem to be the theme of this show.
Yeah, absolutely not. You know, every time that we think somebody's still going to be alive, such as Aiden's sister, or Colleen, or Padma, they're not. You know, in any other show, we're like, oh, they're probably still alive because love conquers all, and da 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 da. In this show, no.
Yeah, and it's really tough because, you know, while everything has personally affected Nolan to a huge extent, you know, this was the one thing. This was an innocent person, a person he felt shouldn't have been involved in any of this.
Right.
And you know, this was a direct result. You know, Nolan has always been helping the people that have done this, but never has his actions directly been a cause of any of this.
But you know what? She wasn't 100% an innocent person. She was trying to play Nolan, and he was going to get crushed.
That is true, but he did love her.
He did.
I mean, she confessed and things like that, and I mean, ultimately, yes, that is true, but she came clean, and she put her trust in his hands to solve this.
Why do you think she died that day? I still didn't quite understand.
She died that day because they had, because of Aiden's bad investments.
Okay.
And they knew
what he would come after them potentially, and the whole lights thing.
Well, that's what the investments meant.
Right, but then why? I don't understand why Trask would have come out then.
Come out where?
If he knew that Aiden was going to come after him, then why would he come out and show himself?
Well, because ultimately they, you know, in the grand scheme of things, they had the upper hand. I mean,
they didn't think Aiden was going to kill him.
Not even that. I think, you know, it could be that, but I also think Trask in many ways could accept his own fate.
Oh, really?
In the I mean, why they're kamikaze?
Yeah, but I don't think he was one of them. He was like, you're not going to kill me here because then you'll be standing over 2 dead bodies. And Aiden was kind of like, F you. Yes, I will.
Well, then the bluff didn't work, and he did. But I think ultimately for the initiative, it doesn't matter that Trask is dead, just like Helen Crowley, no.
Well, I don't know. How deep is the initiative?
More than 2 people, I would say.
Fair enough.
I mean, at the very least, there's Falcon.
There will always be Falcon.
He soars above everyone.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and what sucks is ultimately they didn't tell Nolan the truth about when it happened. Obviously, his, you know, that. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, here's the tough part. The direct result of Padma dying was due to Aiden and Emily's plan. So she could have been alive. I mean, she would have been alive had it not been for their intervention.
Yep.
And they never really involved Nolan in their plans, and this is what it's led to.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nolan's going to put the pieces together and figure that out, too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've said this from the get-go, but at what point does Nolan just say, you know, enough, Emily? You've caused a lot of... like, just listen to me for once.
I don't think ever.
I mean, does he love her unconditionally? I mean,
yes.
You know, I mean, granted in life, you can love someone unconditionally, but when this is the condition, I feel like it's a little bit different.
That's what unconditionally means.
I don't think when you say the words like, hey, I'll love you unconditionally, you mean like you expect murders and plots and revenges.
Those are the terms and the conditions of unconditionally.
I'm going to amend those unconditionally. I'm going to have a disclaimer.
Just say I love you until
we get into such areas.
You steal, lie, cheat, or kill.
Or are in involvement with a mass murder plot, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, I just feel bad for Nolan because, you know, I mean, this poor guy. I think eventually he has to turn on Emily.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, no, I wish I had more to back that up, but I really don't think he will. I think because of how much he loved David Clark, and because of now how much he really does love Emily, I think Nolan is able to see the greater purpose in things.
Well, okay, so how about this? Let's dissect the moment. You know, so Nolan finds out the news, he runs away. You know, he's crying in Emily's arms. What did you grab from that moment? How did you interpret that? I mean, maybe therein could be the support that you're looking for.
I don't understand the question.
The question is, you know, in that scene, what was going through Nolan? Why did, this is slightly different, but why did Nolan send Emily back? I mean, is that...
Because he understands the greater purpose, exactly that. He realizes that her being with him for the night isn't equivalent to her exposing Trask or whatever her plan was, and there's nothing really she can do for him other than love and support him, and she can do that from afar, kind of. It's not like he needed her that night for something specific.
It's that, and also, for me, it's, you know, if he accepts the fact that the Padma's death would have been all for none.
Right.
You know, it needs to mean something.
True.
So,
she can't die in vain.
That's right. Let's get to the scene at the end. I mean, obviously this is going to have dire consequences for Nolan with, I mean, he's accused of killing her by this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully, obviously it doesn't work this way always, but if you don't kill somebody, you should be able to get out of it. But what is his alibi when he was at the bar and he was really doing the stuff for Jack about Conrad? You know, he doesn't have an alibi now because he can't say he was at the bar. He was hiding in the staircase.
Yeah.
So therein lies the problem.
And, you know, as the cop says, it's highly suspicious that he's got all this damn writing on the wall.
Right.
Like, you know, so it's always a tough one.
Nobody's going to be able to completely understand it because, except for the Falcon, Nolan's the only one who can write these equations and do it. So it's harder when it seems incriminating, even though it isn't.
Well, what's tough is by proving his innocence, he's going to be revealing the fact that he's regardless been plotting towards something.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's been involved in something. Now he's obviously, you could say he's on the good side, which, you know, we believe Emily is the good side. But how are you going to prove that to a jury? Like, no. Listen. I've been doing something, but it's because of this. And like, how do you begin to explain this?
That's why the justice system doesn't work on good and bad. It works on legal and illegal. You know, you can do something that's illegal that is good.
Yeah.
And that's everything that Emily
has been doing.
Has done, yeah.
So poor Nolan. By the way, let us know your thoughts. I always love getting your thoughts on all of this. There was someone who wrote in that thought Falcon was perhaps Victoria's son. I thought that was an interesting theory. I don't, after seeing tonight's episode, I highly doubt that holds true. But it would be highly interesting if that still was the case, but they didn't know it.
You think we're gonna see Victoria's son at some point?
No, I don't know.
Unless it is Falcon.
Unless it is Falcon. But the point I'm making with that statement is that I love when you guys write in your different theories. Collectively, we are a great think tank. So continue writing your comments and continue to rate on iTunes and YouTube. Let us know what you're thinking. We love reading it.
Yeah, we do.
So, and apparently, as we learned, apparently the writers do listen, so who knows? So
now that we said that thing out loud about it being Falcon is Victoria's son, if that happens, whoever you are, you get to take credit for that.
That's right. All right, let's talk about Jack's plan, since we were talking about Nolan being in the bar, right? To cut ahead, I'm surprised that Jack is involving Ashley.
I'm not. I saw it in his face the second he heard the way Conrad spoke to Ashley. And as I've been saying this whole time, they're trying to get back to the main characters, but we keep getting further and further away from Ashley. She has to have a role in here somewhere.
Well, that's her role. Her role has always been.
And Jack is always too trusting. That's his issue. So
it's wrong of him to trust Ashley.
I don't think that in this case it necessarily is, but it definitely could have been.
Yeah, I mean, she could have said, no, I don't want to do this.
Right.
And then, what, did he kill her?
Right,
What was the backup plan? Luckily, it worked out for Jack. I thought it was interesting in terms of this. This is an Ashley thing, but, she says, I learned from the best. And, and Conrad just goes, you're talking about Victoria, aren't you?
And that's what I wrote down at that moment. In the epic battle of Conrad versus Victoria, who wins?
Apparently Victoria.
I guess so.
I mean, do you agree with that statement or no?
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking about it, and the way the show is set up, it does seem that Victoria always wins.
But she has greater Achilles heels than Conrad ultimately. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Conrad was ready to put Victoria on a plane that was going to crash.
Yeah, and Victoria has more skeletons in her closet.
That's right. I think Conrad is to a large extent. Conrad is more ruthless than Victoria, but Victoria will pull more strings if it doesn't. She just doesn't like to necessarily kill people. I think that's where she still draws the line.
She killed Helen pretty quickly.
Yes, for the safety of her. I mean, she's willing to go to that length, but I think Conrad's a lot more faster to jump to that.
I don't know. I'd call them about even.
All right, well, fair enough.
Ruthless.
What do you think of Jack's plan? I mean, he now for 6 weeks he's quietly been on this trail, trying to bring Conrad down, and Conrad seems to be believing it. He's only 4 points behind his competition, thanks to Jack.
I don't know if this is part of Jack's plan, but I think Jack is going to get Conrad elected.
I think that's supposed to be part of the plan.
So he's trying to get him elected and then tear him down?
I guess. I don't know what the full plan.
Or is he trying to tear him down right before election?
I mean, it would make more sense to have him. It would be more of a fiasco if he was elected.
Okay.
Well, because think about it, right? I mean, in terms of if you have an election, right? Let's say it's a presidential election. What's a greater scandal, to have a president impeached or a scandal come out before elections?
Right, you're right. But why would he be impeached? Oh, if he
was a governor.
Right. It makes sense. Why did he say that he was going to try to clear David Clark's name?
Well, why do you think?
I don't know the answer. It's why I asked the question. But I don't know. I think, like he said to Victoria, he didn't want to take any further questions on the matter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he answered the way he did. I think partly he wanted to. He was supposed to. He felt like he needed to answer in some sort of way, right? You know, it's politics. It sufficed as an answer, and it was quick and short. But I'm really interested in this because that's a huge line, and you know, it could be a turning point in the sense that now the public knows what he said.
Yeah, and as Emily said tonight, now Conrad has won her vote.
Yes. So I think, you know, obviously now in the investigation of that and things like that, yes, there could be more shenanigans, but it also does, if it goes well, it does offer a glimmer of hope for Emily, you know, in all of this to clear David Clark's name.
But it could be that in order to, Jack has to decide whether it's more important to ruin Conrad or to clear David Clark.
That's true. That is very true.
And what's more important, redemption or revenge?
Which is, well, apparently, what would Emily say?
Revenge.
Okay. That's certainly what the show is intending with its.
Yeah. Good point.
Good point. What do you think? What do you think of the alliance between Ashley and Jack? Where do you think that's headed? It's more of a prediction, but.
Honestly, I don't know because she's a flip-flopper. I wonder if she'll stick to it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, if she's just loved, you know, for lack of a better term, she'll stay loyal to whoever.
Do you see a romance there?
Not in terms of that, but like, I mean, you know, with Conrad, she's done everything for Conrad, and then he went too far by accusing her. And I think that's the problem. Everyone's kind of always accused her of the wrongdoing. Now, granted, sometimes she did, but I think ultimately, if she just sees an opportunity and the opportunity can continue, as long as you don't push her too far, she can and will be loyal.
Then why was she hooking up with Daniel and she was best friends with Emily?
Well, if you're talking about season, well,
yeah.
That was after that whole thing.
I'm just saying her loyalty varies. Like, shouldn't her loyalty lie with Emily?
No, I mean that's
No,
always...
screw your friends.
Emily. Well, here's my thing. Her and Emily, I never really knew what their full friendship was.
That's true.
And at the time, I mean, you can't argue that her and Emily have been the best of friends because they weren't. Maybe
Right.
that's how it was supposed to be written, but it certainly hasn't transpired that way. And that was after, you know, the breakup. Now she wasn't loyal to Daniel because she slept with Conrad. I'll let you argue that, but you know.
Okay, fair. We'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes. I think here's what I hate though. I think Jack's gonna ultimately mess up a lot of things for Emily.
What do you mean? How is this giving him the ability to do that?
Here's the thing. I mean, you have all these different parties, right? You have the initiative. You have Victoria in many ways with her own initiative, for lack of a better term, initiative. You have Conrad with his, I'll say the word motives, right? You have Conrad with his own motives. Now Jack has his own motives. And
you feel like they're all contradicting?
Yes, and while Nolan is aligned with Aiden and Emily, now, you know, he has different reasons for that motive. Obviously, Aiden and Emily are kind of splintering apart because of Daniel's situation. And so, you know, if you draw it together, ultimately something has to conflict.
And you think that's going to be Emily and Jack?
In many ways, I think, you know, that's one of the casualties. You know, because here's the thing. Could it hurt Conrad? Could it hit Victoria? Could it hurt the initiative? All those things, yes.
But then that wouldn't make good show.
Yes, that's correct. But at the very least, like, you know, how to explain this? You know, that's fine in moving forward, but I think it's going to, regardless, if it's not Emily's plan, if it's not according to Emily, it's still going to hurt her because she's not in the know, et cetera. You know what I mean? It's just too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. And something's going to go wrong.
Okay.
So,
I guess we'll wait and see.
Too many moving pieces don't add up well.
Yeah, they all collide.
So let's talk about the rekindled romance of Emily and Daniel. Are you excited by this?
I just think that, like, first season I really, really liked him, and now it's everything he does, there's some other motive, and putting them on page 6, and I don't feel like I do think he cares about Emily, but I think he kind of feels like he owns her. Like, he's like, come to this, meet me there, do this, putting you on this, like, and I just don't like when a guy has that attitude towards a female.
Okay. Point taken.
Okay.
No, point taken, but, I mean, you also realize that she's taking it because of what she needs to do, right?
Yeah, I know that's why she's taking it, but he doesn't know that.
It's true. I mean, ultimately, do I like Daniel? No.
The show is making it so. Originally, I was like, ooh, do I want them to be as a couple? I think they're trying to drive it into my mind. No, I don't.
I think, you know, Daniel was always supposed to be a pawn and things like to me, he always represented a casualty of this big war against Victoria. Because
he really could be a good guy, but then he kind of has bad qualities and
I think ultimately he's gone the route of an evil guy.
Right.
And especially now, it's just further and further moving ahead. And again, you know, he's just another person with another motive that's just...
What did you think that Aiden meant when he said to Emily that he wasn't mad, he was disgusted?
What do I think by that? Because I think to a certain extent, what the gain of having Daniel is not that great anymore. I don't know.
It was an interesting choice of words. It felt like his emotions were really getting involved.
It was. I mean, because, well, look at it from Aiden's perspective. Traska's dead. Padma's dead. You know, if the focus is supposed to be back on Victoria, what purpose does Daniel serve?
Just being close to the Graysons.
Yeah, but
I feel like, why hasn't she tried to do that through Charlotte?
There you go. You can do that through Charlotte. And also, at this point, I don't think you necessarily need to be close to the Graysons.
You're already on their radar.
That's true, and I just think there's bigger stuff. You know, there's other ways of doing it.
Yeah.
And which, you know, by taking down Trask, that was supposed to be one of the ways. Also, I mean, here's the thing. Conrad's a way of doing that, right? And so all she has to do is just align with Jack.
So why doesn't she see it like that? Just because that's not the way this TV show wants to be set up, or because what are we missing?
No, I think you know, Emily likes to have multiple things going at once, right?
Yeah, in case anything fails.
Yes, and you know, while Aiden is right, that could be enough. You know, it doesn't provide possibilities. So
it can't hurt to be close with him.
It can't.
Or can it? Bum bum bum.
Well, she just continues to, you know, I mean, here's the thing. It's just more information, right? Like, for example, did she know 6 weeks ago, did she know that Victoria had another son? No, she did not. You know what I mean? And so by being close to Daniel and things like that.
Finds out secrets?
Yeah.
Although that didn't come from him, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but the more you know, the more equipped you are to handle stuff.
Because it's Mike's Super Short Show.
Huh?
You don't remember that?
No, I don't. No
and
idea.
now you know, because it's... Anyway.
So, yeah, I think... but what sucks is that, you know, whereas in Season 1 we had all these different alliances, now I feel like everyone's kind of out for themselves and things are going to collide, unfortunately.
Or fortunately for our viewing purposes.
Yes. I always look at it from the intrinsic value of the character.
Isn't that sweet of you?
I know it is. All right, let's talk about the sweetness of Victoria's past coming to life.
Oh yes, so sweet. And
Who was the guy? I really want to know who the guy was.
it was her mother's boyfriend.
It was her mother's boyfriend, huh?
Who the guy she had sex with was?
No. Who the quote son was at the Masquerade ball? Because he thought it was Aiden.
Oh.
And it obviously wasn't.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean,
Was this just the guy she hired? Like, hey, here's $50, go do this.
or did Emily actually find her son?
I mean, how she would have done that, that would have been insane. Here's why I don't think that is the case. Because
then we see her go to the nun.
That, and also from the son's perspective, why would he just be like, okay, show me my mom? Why would he, you know? That would
He
make
was
sense.
pissed at her. He's bitter, something like that. Like, you know, it's been all these years, and she didn't want him, and she didn't want him to be able to find her, and so now he's, I don't know.
All right, fair enough. But ultimately, I think the answer lies in the fact that why did Emily go there if she knew who the son was? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really don't know the answer. What was the deal with Emily going to see the nun, pretending to be pregnant? What does she hope to gain from that?
She hoped to gain. I think just more truth, and maybe it is finding the son, if she doesn't know who the son is.
I guess, but
Well, because here's the thing.
where have you put other kids in the past? Like, is that the question you ask?
That is the question. You know what I mean? Because I mean, here's the thing. It's not like okay, this child's gonna go to Roxy's house. Okay, this child's gonna go to Phil's house. This child's gonna go to Anna Koppel's house.
They
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure.
all go to Mercer's house?
Yeah, I'm sure there's got to be a service that they go to.
Okay. Fair.
So,
Emily's a smart cookie. I trust her.
I mean, at the very least, the more she knows, the better prepared she will be.
Speaking a little bit about Victoria, though, my favorite line of the episode coming from Daniel when he finds out what his mother has done. Feel free to use these for each of your two faces, handing her the bullets.
Yes.
Love that. I mean, boom. I would have been like, for her. And then she faints.
Here's what's so interesting, right? You know, her and Emily had that conversation about the fact that Victoria will do anything for her children.
Right.
She has driven all of her children away from her life.
Yeah, but she really does try to do for them. It's weird. Her motivation and her instincts are weird.
But okay, you have one son who you gave away because it was, you know, an abomination. You have Charlotte who hates you to a large extent, and then Daniel who tells you that line.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any mother, could be proud of that line.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And the other line that really stood out to me in terms of Victoria was when she says to Jack that this would be a victory for his deceased wife, and he says, there is no victory for Amanda. She's gone. Like, and I felt like he meant, there's no victory for Amanda. She's gone. You effing moron. Do you know what I mean? Like how insensitive could you be?
Yeah.
Like, woohoo, she won. She's dead. Like, it's so incredibly insensitive.
Well, I also think, I think in many ways, subconsciously, Victoria could have been justifying it because, like, you know, that's a victory for Amanda, therefore it's a victory for David Clark, the man she loves.
I guess.
Because, hey, think about it. If we're to believe that she ultimately still loves David Clark, then, you know, she has to deep down justify all of this. And you have to lie to yourself to believe all these lies.
I think she just was mad at Jack, and then that was like a zinger.
Okay.
What do you think about Charlotte punching Regina, who is a character we've never seen before? I mean, or at least unbeknownst to me. Where the hell did that come from?
I thought it was a little bit random. I felt like there was something missing from tonight's episode about that. I don't even know. I mean,
Like, we're gonna see more of that, you think?
I think, but I don't know. I mean, you know, Charlotte's always been kind of an angry rogue character. You know, she was on drugs and this and that. And ultimately, I think it's just setting something up for the future with Charlotte. Because Charlotte... So Daniel's not the sacrificial lamb that he once was in season 1. Right? So now, who's the pawn? Well, Charlotte is. But you know, you kind of have to give her a motive, a reason, you know, and then... as they did with Daniel initially, they funneled that anger towards something.
Right. Good point.
So, you know, you can manipulate Charlotte towards something. Now, I think that's from the story perspective. I don't think, like, Charlotte's thinking that at all. You know, I think just in that moment, she was just upset by what was being said.
Boom.
Boom. I mean, it's the blue-collar influence, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say blue-collar. Or what is
Just
it? Don't say working class.
Don't say working class. Use you guys.
Yes, your states.
Your state.
Yeah, so what a comment that was.
Jack should run for governor. He knows what's up.
I think Jack would be a terrible governor.
Maybe.
Here's the thing. I mean, Jack, for me, has kind of declined as a character, unfortunately, just because, I mean, it's great now. He's got his own agenda of things, but you know, well, I don't think he's that smart to to really think things through. And luckily he can employ the help of a lot of smart people, like he did with Nolan today.
It's because he's such a good guy that, you know, in order to be deceitful, you have to be somewhat intelligent.
Yeah.
And he's not. Not that he's not intelligent, but he's not a trickster. He's not always lying, so he's not as quick to think of things because he doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Although he does, but he doesn't think he has to be.
Yeah, and I think.
That was pretty much the episode.
I know. I mean, you know, they didn't give us a preview. They didn't. I felt it was a nice kind of. It had cliffhangers where it needed to, but it gave us resolution in some other places.
Yeah, I'm just upset that we're not going to be around for a little while.
And without any real previews, but what I'm excited about, I mean, this episode was very evident.
Is this about to be a prediction?
It's not about to be a prediction. It's more a reflection of the fact that a lot of skeletons are coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
You know, they made that pretty overt. But now we can get into predictions.
Okay. Because we didn't see anything for next week. I don't have anything particularly to say other than the fact that I feel like they're killing off a lot of the initiative because, like we were talking about, they're trying to get back to the main story. And the initiative is just taking us so far away from that. That's why Padma died. That's why Colleen died. That's why Trask died. That's why
Helen Crowley died.
Helen Crowley died.
We had a lot of deaths this season.
Yeah, we're having a lot of deaths because we need to get back. That's why Amanda died.
Yeah. I wonder where Marcos is. It's got to be somewhere in the nebula. Nolan's former lover.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited to see what happens with Nolan because obviously, poor guy, just so, you know, he's right. So Jack's a character who's kind of been innocent in this whole plot, has his wife die, and you know, regardless, right? He thought she was the real Amanda, but she's not. Forget that fact. But now he's been hugely affected by this. Nolan, for better or for worse, he's been, you know. He hasn't been the driving force of this. He's been involved, but he hasn't been the driving force. And so I just hate how these somewhat innocent characters are having the worst things happen to them. Meanwhile, Conrad and Victoria are getting away scot-free.
But otherwise, we wouldn't have a season.
I understand this.
It's like the realist versus the idealist right now. Although you are a realist, but you're in the show's reality as opposed to the viewer's reality.
Yes.
And we have two mystery characters. We've got the Falcon and we have the Sun.
That's right. And someone has to step up to the plate to replace Trask if that is in case something that will be happening.
Right.
And we still don't know when Carrion will be employed. By the way, let's talk about this real fast. You know, because Trask said we're in the business, you know, the world's falling apart and breaking itself. We're in the business of making money by rebuilding it.
Right.
I thought that was an interesting take on the world.
It was an interesting take on the world. It's also an interesting thing for us to know. I'm curious if that's true.
About revenge, or
maybe they're doing good because it's making them more money than doing evil.
I mean, we'll find out ultimately.
Another good point.
I mean, ultimately, we're left with more questions than answers. But I thought it was a really, really fun episode. Roxy, where can they find you?
On Twitter at Roxy Striar and on Instagram at RoxYourWorld with 2 Ds.
That's right, and you can find us here at AFTERBUZZ TV on Twitter, Instagram. So let us know your thoughts again on iTunes and things like that. We've got a couple weeks, I believe 3 total, before Revenge comes back on. So a lot to think about.
Yeah, talk to us because otherwise I'll get really sad and miss Revenge. So I need people to talk to about it.
That's right, and you know, ultimately it's all speculation heading in towards the season finale in a couple of weeks. So. You know, let us know your thoughts, because who knows? I don't think it's too late to submit your thoughts on what the season finale could be. The writers are still listening.
Yeah!
There's still time. Just like Conrad, you know, he's waiting for his voting results and things like that. The writers are waiting for yours.
Yes.
Act now or forever hold your peace. I believe that ends it. We'll be back whenever Revenge is back.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.